Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Football-Oranje, your home of Dutch football. And it is back, the Netherlands, an international break. Poland versus the Netherlands on Friday. Mike is here. Abdul is here. We would love to talk about a Netherlands win, which, of course, will take us to the World Cup. So let's get a bit excited with the World Cup coming up now. Not too many months away. Mike and Abdul, how are you feeling ahead of this one?
Well, we have to be optimistic since we are leading the table now. I know we did have some difficult times in this qualifiers, the match against Lithuania, the match against Poland, where we drew at home 1-1. Nobody was happy with the performance. But after all, we won all matches except for one draw against Poland. A draw will be enough, but I do believe that we do have the quality to win this match. If we win, we are through, regardless or despite winning or losing the final match against Lithuania. So I really hope we finish the job the next match against Poland.
Yeah, I think that the fact that Poland need to win on Friday gives me more hope, because it means that Poland can't just sit back. It means that they're going to attack, and then that might give Netherlands some space to play. But yeah, I'm pretty confident that they get the job done. You know, all they need to do is beat Lithuania, and you can lose to Poland and they'll still be top. So I don't really foresee any issues with that home game against Lithuania. So I think it's pretty much all done. Hopefully they can just get the job done on Friday, and then we can just enjoy the game against Lithuania with nothing riding on it. That'd be perfect. But yeah, and we've got two good games coming up. A new player to watch, and yeah, it's getting close now.
Let's bring up the squads for this international break. Games against Poland away, Lithuania at home. Should be comfortable for the Netherlands, and I'm hoping we'll get the job done with at least a draw anyway against Poland. But a win would be, I think, predictable outcome, given that Poland have to attack, and I think the Netherlands have got the quality to show in this game. We've got lots to discuss in this podcast. There's been quite a bit coming out of Koeman's press conference, a little bit of domestic matters as well in the Eredivisie. But we'll talk about the Netherlands first and the squad. So, Mike, are you excited to see the new name in the selection?
Yeah, I think anyone that follows me on X would know that I've been singing this guy's praises since the summer when he was playing for under 21. So yeah, I'm delighted that Valente's in there. It was an important one because, you know, he is dual national, so he could have played for Italy. So I'm glad that he's there, and I hope he's going to play. Wonderful football.
Those that don't watch finals, can you tell us a bit about the position he plays and what he could bring to the Netherlands?
Yeah, he's more like he could play an 8. I think he can play across the midfield. I think he can be a 6, 8, and 10. I think he can play all of them. He's good enough on the ball. Lovely dribbler of the ball. Really good in tight spaces, and then he's also a creator as well. I think he creates a lot of chances for Feyenoord. He might not get the assist, but he's always the one that's, you know, the pre-assist, doing something that opens up the space to then play that killer ball. I think he's just a gem of football. He doesn't lose possession very much. He's tall, he's strong. He's something that I think the Netherlands midfield lacks, and I think he's got more to his game than several other of the centre midfielders that are actually in the squad and ones that have been dropped for this one. So yeah, I think he's got it all. He's got the capability, I think, of being a full-blown starter for Netherlands going into the future. I think that in the summer, I think even then, big clubs around Europe will be sniffing around. I just think he's got a massive future. I pretty much see the future of Netherlands midfield post Frankie de Jong being him and Keith Smith together. I think that'll be a partnership that I want to see going forward. So yeah, I'm very excited about him playing, and hopefully he gets some minutes, and it's not the case of he's been brought along for the ride, because, you know, we saw Sam Stein got minutes, he got capped, so I think Valente's a better player than him. So yeah, I'm excited to see what he can do in Oranje.
Yeah, it's like Valente's a better footballer than Stein. Stein will get you goals, but Valente's that pre-assister. I couldn't think of a better word to describe him than that. With his creativity on the ball, and he's good, even if he's a bit deeper or more attacking. I think later in his career, you could easily see him become like a deep line playmaker, a bit of a 6. But at the moment, he's more forward thinking. He's further up the pitch, and he's doing well for Feyenoord. People aren't aware of his journey. He did come from FC Groningen over the summer, and he was already very creative coming through there. I think now it's also time for him to improve his end product. If he can score more goals and get more assists, being more directly involved in the goals, that would be special for him. Abdul, what are your thoughts on the squad?
Well, it's pretty much like what we expected. Of course, I was happy that Valente was in the squad. I did write this message to Kuman, and I even said that in my account, asking him to, include Valente in the squad because we want to keep him with Orania. I'm not sure if he read my message, but I'm glad he brought him in. He's over 21 now. He's 22, so he only needs to play for a few minutes. I checked the rules. Only a few minutes with Orani in the qualifiers, and we will keep him with us forever. So I'm glad he's there, and hopefully we win against Poland. So he might be even a starter against Lithuania in the final match. The squad looks great. I believe Koeman is gonna start with the same lineup he started against Finland, putting Kluivert behind the attackers because this is the most effective way we tried so far in the front line. So it's gonna be pretty much the same way we played against Finland. Sorry, yeah.
Just want to give a quick reminder to people watching to give us a like and subscribe if you're new to Football-Oranje on YouTube. This podcast is available on other platforms as well, over on Spotify as well. Don't forget to keep supporting Football-Oranje and join us for the live shows as well after the Netherlands games, the one on Friday against Poland and Monday against Lithuania. Talking about the squad that's on screen here, a spanner in the works of Ronald Koeman, in a good way, is the form of Robin Roofs, who is doing fantastically at Sunderland. I was on a Sunderland podcast earlier in the week, and I was talking to the host, who's obviously a big Sunderland fan, and he was telling me just how well he's been doing. Like, I see some of his saves on like the highlight reels, but he says he has genuinely been outstanding, and he's come into Sunderland and he's without doubt the number one goalkeeper for them right now. Sunderland are flying in the Premier League table. Brighton are doing okay. They're mid-table. Verbruggen is obviously the goalkeeper there. Is Roofs now someone that is in, and I mean a genuine conversation for the number one Netherlands jersey? And I'm saying that because he's coming to form. It's rather like Anthony Snoppert when he was at Heerenveen doing really well. Van Gaal decides to go with him, or does the faith stay with Verbruggen? I think my gut feeling, by the way, first of all, is that Verbruggen probably will play this game against Poland, but Roofs should get a chance against Lithuania. But it just reminds me of like a goalkeeper that's coming in late last minute. He's in form. He could be the best choice we have currently for the goalkeeping position. What are your thoughts on that? And I'd love to hear people's thoughts down below in the comments, by the way, on this.
Yeah, I think Roofs is definitely the second option for Orania. He's definitely taken the place of Flecken as a second goalkeeper.
I
And
agree with that.
some people might even want him to be a starter. But I still believe Verbruggen is doing great, and Roofs can be second. I think we are all happy to have such great goalkeepers at the moment. They are all performing very well, impressing very well. So or being impressive, sorry, very well. So yeah, it's gonna be Verbruggen. Roofs is gonna be the second goalkeeper, in my opinion.
Yeah, as a Newcastle fan, you won't hear me praising Sunderland on this podcast, so I have to say that. But I think Verbruggen, he'll stay number one until he makes a mistake. And he's never done that in Oranje. He's never let us down. So I don't see a reason to swap him out. He has some iffy moments for Brighton, but he does usually bring off and pull off some good saves for them. So yeah, I think that Roofs is second choice at the moment. I think unless Verbruggen gets injured, or falls really out of form for Brighton, then he'll stay number one. I think what this means is Awusa Duro is now really a possibility that we lose him to Ghana. I think that because Netherlands have two such strong goalkeepers, that he might decide that he wants to go with Ghana. I've seen a lot more reports saying that he's moving towards that choice. So yeah, I think that having them two means we might lose out on him. But what great two to have, and they're going to be around for years to come. So maybe it's not the worst thing, even though Awusa Duro looks really good at times for AZ.
Yeah, shame to lose such a great talent in Ilwaz Oduro. But he has also been criticised by some RZ fans, which is undeserved in my opinion. But look at the standards we've got in this Netherlands squad. We haven't got a world-class goalkeeper yet, but it's like it's a matter of time, isn't it, before Verbruggen and Roos, who, by the way, are very young for goalkeepers,
Yes.
can go to that level by the time that they're 30 years old. Goalkeepers start to come into their prime. Anything else that you two want to bring up about the squad and the selection?
Finally, Koeman has no use of De Vrij. I think it's reasonable to drop him now from the squad. That's the only thing that I have noticed. That De Ligt is not there.
Yes.
He is sorry because the picture is not clear. Then it's just De Vrij who is not there. He's 35 years old. We knew, we should not really have two old attackers. Yeah, because the screen is small. I'm not in
Yeah.
front of my computer. I'm sorry. Yeah. So yeah, it's only De Vrij who has been out, and of course Geertruida is back. Geertruida has been doing well with Oranje, and he started the last match with the Sunderland. So maybe this also is encouraging for him to play with Oranje. I'm happy he is there really.
Yeah, for me, there's still a few question marks in there. I'm never totally happy with a Ronald Koeman squad. Yeah, I think because there's a World Cup coming around, I want to see some players given a chance. Noah Lang doesn't play for Napoli. Why is he there? Ake doesn't play for Manchester City. Why is he there? Geertruida, he's there because he's probably one of the only right backs that they have. Why is Quentin Timber there over, say, Joey Veerman? Couldn't tell you last time I thought Quentin Timber had a really good game. Weghorst doesn't score. We could name 4 players that scored this weekend. They're Dutch. Mega got 2. Hustel got a hat-trick, and he's been playing up front for PSV. Yeah, so I don't think it's perfect in any way, but there's improvements with De Ligt coming back, with Valente getting in there. But it still annoys me that there's good players out there that aren't getting picked. And when Koeman's asked about it, he's quite flippant in press conferences. So, like, the whole Joey Veerman needs to do it against clubs that aren't PEC Zwolle, and then he does it against much bigger clubs in the Champions League. He does it against AZ, he does it against Feyenoord, and he's still just like, nah, he's not in my thinking. He dismissed Mauro Jr. today, saying he wasn't really in his plans. Omega scored twice for Strasbourg at the weekend. He got asked about him. He said it didn't change his mind about selecting him, but he could come into it if Memphis gets booked against Poland and misses the game against Lithuania. So yeah, I think that there's players out there who are in better form than the ones that are in the squad, and the ones that should be there, but Koeman doesn't have them as his favourites, and that still remains a big criticism of him from me.
Can we just give Mike a clap, by the way? That's a brilliant summary. Go on, Abdul.
Yeah, it's only the front line that I have a problem with. I was waiting for you guys to talk about the front line. Really, yes, Weghorst is even his attitude is not really as same as before. Maybe you guys have noticed. He's been causing so much trouble in every match, provoking the opponents. Making fouls.
Do you mean Ajax or the Netherlands?
No, with Ajax, of course, but
Yeah,
that will definitely leave influence on him with the Netherlands. While we see Dalinga scored a goal, I think, for his team, Bologna. Broby scored. Fleming scored 3 goals in 3 matches for Burnley. Not many players can score 3 goals in 3 matches in the Premier League. Some names, maybe Koeman should start looking and considering them. I know I talked about Fleming in the beginning of the season. Now he is pretty much a starter, and he is being a very important player for Burnley. So maybe the front line will change after this match. After this international break. About the midfield, I might disagree with Michael, because Verman, although he's been doing good with PSV, but we tried him in Euro. I don't think he is Orania quality. I don't think he is a national team quality. Timber, I think he is better, although he's just got back from injury. But I do believe he is better than Verman. But of course, some people might disagree with me on that.
Yeah, just a final point to what you both have been saying. When I think of Joe Veerman, I agree with Abdul more than Mike on that one. I think he had his chance in that Euros, didn't take it, has shown that at a certain level he can't quite operate at that. But for PSV, he's a very good player. So I agree with that one. But others, it's a shame to hear that Koeman is not valuing those contributions of other players as much, especially Emmanuel Mega.
Yes.
But generally, the squad, we have to keep it the same, I think, for consistency. Like, yada, yada, yada. Like, he says it himself, doesn't he? But against Lithuania, if the Netherlands are successful against Poland, we need to see some different names, and we have to see a rotated lineup. I'm sure people would agree with that. We need to see some different players given a chance, because it's one of the very few chances we have left in a competitive game where we can try some different options. We aren't always going to play the same 11 players, same 13 players in the World Cup. We are going to have to use the squad. So Roof's been given a chance would be something I'd like to see.
Yes.
I don't see like Vekul's given a chance, but it'd be nice to give starts to some players that haven't had too many starts over recent games. Marlon's been in and out of the team. I think with my Aston Villa head on again, Marlon hasn't played every single game, but I think he does warrant a place at Netherlands squad. I think he's worth having around. I think he's a really good option to have for the forward line, in a forward line that hasn't got too many options, has it? Like, it's got players that are bench players or not playing at the highest level. Cody Capper being the exception to that. Yeah.
I think Aston Villa is a high level in the Premier League, and Malin has been scoring quite few goals for them. So as you said, he did earn his place as a right winger. With Orania, he's been very dangerous as a right winger.
Yeah.
But yeah, but for other players, especially striker position, we need to try some. We have four strikers in the Premier League. I'm sure one of them at least can fit, with Koeman's plans, although none of them has been doing really great or having a breakthrough. But we should try one of them. Definitely, he's gonna be better than Weghorst, with all respect to Weghorst.
Who would you pick out the ones that you've seen in the Premier League?
I've
That
been talking
fits the way
about
we play.
I've been talking about Fleming from the beginning of the season. He did not play in the beginning, but he's been playing lately. As I said, he scored three matches. He scored three goals in three matches. It is something considerable for a player who plays for a team like Burnley. It's not even a big name in the Premier League. So this will be my first option, in my opinion.
Interesting.
Yeah, for me, it's a case of you need to keep squad consistency. But when was the last time, apart from the game against Finland, the Netherlands played really well? So if you're keeping the squad consistent, then you're consistently going to get bad performances, because these are the same players that we're playing over again. And yeah, the 4-0 against Finland was sort of an anomaly recently, because before that, Netherlands were poor, really poor. So I don't think Koeman can hide behind, oh, we need to get the squad ready, we need to keep the same players, because they're not showing it. And it's time for the Omegas, somebody else that I was thinking of, maybe like who's still, he did
You
have
haven't
to
been a
get
fan
back.
of him, to be fair, for a long time.
I think that he's been one of the biggest surprises in the Eredivisie this season. He's keeping Ricardo Pepi out of that PSV side, the top of the league. He's playing as a striker. He's sort of like that sort of Harry Kane-esque, dropping deep, picking up the ball, scoring goals. It's what you need. And the Netherlands need somebody that can score goals, because they don't have it at the moment. So yeah, it's time for Koeman to make the changes, and maybe he will. Maybe we'll beat Poland, and then 3 or 4 of the players will drop out of the squad. He'll bring in 3 or 4 more. You might see Keith Smith come in. You might see Omega. I'm hoping he's got these guys on speed dial to be like, right, get ready. You're coming in for that second game if it's secured and done against Poland. Because there is 5 players. One walking the line for a yellow card to get some banned, and Memphis is one of them. So, yeah, I'm hoping that there's a couple of yellow cards and everyone's got a job done, and we can see some new players against Lithuania.
Okay, we spent 20 minutes talking about the squad and the players, but I want to talk about Ronald Koeman. A big factor within our chances of the World Cup. I'm sure that people will ask us about the Netherlands at the World Cup in the summer, and one of the big things we'll say is a big drawback is the manager. We'll talk about him goodness enough times. He had some interesting thing to say, didn't he, Mike, in the press conference? And just generally, let's just talk about him one more time as a reason why he is a bit of a disadvantage when it comes to thinking about the Netherlands winning the World Cup this summer.
Yeah, I think in the press conference today, he was talking about his future, and he was basically saying that he's not sure yet if he wants to continue past the World Cup. I think that would be music to most people's ears, that he doesn't want to go past the World Cup. Yeah, it would worry me if he did go past the World Cup and the KNVB were that happy, unless we win the tournament. If he wins the tournament, he can stay forever, however long he wants. He can.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter anymore. If he wins this World Cup, he can do whatever he wants. But yeah, I think it's time for us to move on. It's time for the next generation and everyone's players to come through. It's time for a new coach that brings those players in, says goodbye to some of the old ones that have been there. The Veghorst, the Memphis. After this World Cup, it's time to push those guys aside, get the younger ones in, start again, start fresh. And I think that goes with getting a new coach, and who that's going to be. I mean, there's only one Dutch manager outside the Netherlands at a big club, and unless he gets sacked, which is possible at the moment.
Possibility.
The Liverpool are going. Yeah, the choices out there are still the same ones that we've discussed for the past few years. There's not really a new one coming through. So, yeah, Koeman has the shortcomings, but he's going to be the one that's going to be there at the World Cup. We need to get behind him. We just need to hope that, the stubbornness, the wanting to play his guys, wanting to have his favourites in there doesn't then affect it going into a tournament and cost him. Because this is his last chance. If he's going to retire after this tournament, this is his time to go out with a bang. So, hopefully he sees sense between now and the summer and gets the squad right.
Yeah.
And there was quite a funny moment in the press conference when he was asked about all of the Netherlands players that will be turning up to their first training session, or turning up to wherever they're based, the Dutch players, where they will be all dressed up. Quite often when you see photo shoots for Netherlands players coming in, they're all got the latest fashion on, or they're all dressed in like black or grey or something like that. And Koeman was asked about it. He said, like, are you going to be watching like the fashion show basically at this time? And he's like, what are you talking about? But he wasn't too complimentary, was he, Mike, of the Dutch players?
No, I think if you're Ronald Koeman from the era that he's from, he's sort of straight laced. He's sort of like, he's just like, he doesn't see it in it. To be fair, I quite like it. I quite like watching those little videos that I'm turning up at the training session and then meeting each other, getting each other hugs, little conversations between players. I really like seeing that. I wish there was more of it. I wish there was more behind the scenes stuff from the Netherlands camp. And I like how they always go up to the cameraman and then there's one or two of them that don't interact with him. And I'm always like, oh, that's a shame for the cameraman. Like, I'm always looking out for that to see who's the one that's going up to him and giving him a big high five, get involved, I think it's good for the players, good for the squad to have that sort of moment, even if Koeman doesn't like it. And other countries do it much worse than we do.
Yes.
So how do you think he'll set up then against Poland? How does he tweak what he has been working with, bring the best out of the Dutch players again? What I'm not saying here is I don't think Koeman's a bad head coach, but I just think he's quite mid. I think he's quite average. I've never found him to be an outstanding coach. Though I was quite impressed with him when he was working at Southampton. That for me was always a highlight for me, seeing him as a head coach. But other than that, I've never, and maybe I haven't watched his career very closely, but I always felt like apart from that, his managerial career has been quite average.
The first spell with Orania was amazing when he took the job the first
Absolutely, yeah,
time.
good shout.
Yeah, nobody expected that because we had 3 disastrous years. I mean, the team was losing to middle class teams, struggling from with teams like Kazakhstan, Luxembourg, and we dropped down to the 36th position in the FIFA ranking. That was the lowest ever for the Netherlands. He took the job, and suddenly we defeated France, we defeated Germany in a group that nobody expected Orania to survive. But we made it all the way to the final, defeating England as well. So that's and the quality of players he had at that time was Babel, Promes, Van de Beek, Duron. None of these players will make it with the current squad, even at their best level. So we have to give Koeman a credit for that. Really, the problem is in the second spell. He made so many mistakes. He was stubborn in many games. But again, numbers speak for themselves. He helped us to go all the way to the semifinal for the first time in 20 years in the Euros. And the qualifiers now, we are leading the group without any defeats. We do play bad some games, but the good thing is we are winning. Even the match against Lithuania, it was pretty much the worst match for Orania in years, maybe, but we managed to win. So he is making the team win even when we don't play good. He does make it difficult for himself in many occasions. But after all, as I said, results speak for themselves. He just need to maybe stop being stubborn. I was glad last match he tried Clivert behind the attackers. Personally, I believe this is what we missed really in the previous matches. Once we had a good number 10, the entire team can change. So hopefully he continues with that. He doesn't go back again with Reinders, Grafenberg, Frankie, because definitely this trio will not do well together.
Yeah, I think if you were to ask us, the starting lineup right now, I think we'd get pretty much 10 out of the 11 players. I think we'd all pretty much have the same answers. The question mark is the number 10 position. Who does he go with? Who does he pick? Is it Simmons, who's playing that position for Tottenham? Is it Clivert, who's been okay for Bournemouth, but I don't think he's hit the heights he was last season? And then you've got the whole debate of Reinders. Does he play there? Does he play back? So I think that's the only position that I've got a question mark on. I think the rest of the team pretty much picks itself.
If you don't mind me saying also about his career, even the people who don't want him to coach Orani, the problem is who is the replacement. If KNVB is insisting on a Dutch coach, then we have a problem. There aren't really many Dutch coaches, around who are performing well with their teams. Even Arne Slot nowadays, he's not really doing well with the Liverpool. So who's it gonna be if they insist on a Dutch coach? I don't know really, and that's what kind of scares me or worries me because I don't want Van Bronckhorst, with all respect, to coach Oranje. I don't think he's a good coach. Van Nistelrooy, Jaap Stam, none of them succeeded, in his career. So that's why I sort of want Koeman to continue. At least he is winning.
I can guarantee. I'm making a prediction right now, and I'll come back to this. If Koeman leaves in the summer, it'll be Mark Van Bommel will be head coach. I can almost guarantee that. That's my prediction, that he will be the head coach. Mark Van Bommel.
What makes you say that?
It's just a gut feeling. I think out of all the ex-players, I don't think it'll be Ten Hag. I think Ten Hag would want to stay in clubs. I think it won't be Arne Slot. It won't be Simonis. It won't be Ron Jans. Of all the ex-players that are currently without a job, I think Mark Van Bommel is the one that the KNVB will see. I keep seeing him get linked with jobs. Like he turned down Celtic recently. Apparently wants to stay in the Netherlands and be closer to his son. He's injured. I just think ex-player, ex-captain, ex-leader of the national team as a player, I'd be amazed if he isn't one of the front runners to be the next job. Not that I want him to be. I'd rather somebody that's a better coach be it. But I think the way the KNVB do things,
yeah,
I'd be amazed if it's not Mark Van Bommel.
If he gets the help from his father-in-law, I'll be happy with that.
Yeah.
Van Marwijk, yeah,
Yeah.
he can maybe help in this job, then it's okay. But Van Bommel, his spell with PSV wasn't really a success. He started well, but suddenly the team started to fall apart. If you guys remember, I think in 2019. So it kind of worries me if Van Bommel took the job, but I guess it's not in our hands. We will see what will happen.
Yeah, it's a really interesting shout, isn't it? And a wholly
Yeah.
possible one. I just feel like we need to go down the foreign coach avenue and see what there is, see what there is available.
I
A lot of the
wish.
players that are playing abroad anyway. I mean, we all know about how Dutch people have very good English, but I don't think the Dutch players will be offended by having a foreign coach who can speak English well, because that is what they're used to anyway at their clubs.
Yeah. Well, Brazil now has an Italian coach. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
No,
But Brazil aren't very good at the moment. So,
no,
if
fair
Brazil
point.
if Brazil go to World Cup and get put out early on, the Brazilians will be going mental and saying it's because maybe they'll blame Ancelotti. We'll see how England does with a German coach. There's other nations that have foreign coaches, but I think there's options for the Netherlands. Not good options, but there's options. So I think with it being Nigel de Jong that's there, you'll probably pick one of his ex-teammates to be in the job. And
yeah,
I just can't see it yet. It's slim pickings at the moment, and there's not very a right answer. It's not like, okay, he's the best coach, let's get him in. It's going to be, but is it better than Koeman to have somebody like Van Bommel, Van Bronckhorst, or do you stick with somebody that's stuck in his ways? Yeah, it's a difficult choice.
Makes it so difficult sometimes, isn't it, supporting the Netherlands when things like this have happened for so many years and not really brought much success.
Yeah, I think that the relief is that Frank de Boer says he doesn't want to return to coaching, so it's not going to be Frank de Boer
Thank
back.
goodness.
He's staying away from it, so yeah, it's not going to be him. But Dick Advocate's still going. One last roll of the dice.
Maybe Van Gaal will surprise us because this man is full of surprises.
Yeah.
Maybe he will, he will decide to take the job one last time. Maybe.
Yeah,
I'm fine with that if it happens. Really.
Shall we finish our Netherlands segment? I would like to talk about Ajax for a few minutes. So let's finish our Netherlands segment with a prediction for the game against Poland. Who wants to go first?
I would say I hope and I expect it to be a 2-0 for the Netherlands.
I'll go with 1-1 draw.
I was going to say 1-1 as well. It's now got to be different. I'm going to go with a 1-0 Netherlands win. I think we'll score, and Poland have struggled for goals. So, that strong defence. Let's keep them out. Please let us know in the comments what you're thinking. I love reading all of your comments before the games. There are always so many of them after the games as well. So please do comment down below what you're thinking of the game, your squad selection, and whatnot. Whatever else you want to talk about, really. As long as it's orange flavoured. Ajax, though, Johnny Heiting has been sacked as head coach. And we could have done a show about this. We could have done an Eredivisie show, but we're coming on to about the Netherlands. Let's just tie it in with this. Another Dutch coach who's found it tricky. He did so well supporting Arne Slot at Liverpool. Slot, of course, not doing quite as well since Heitinga left, but going back to being a head coach. Like people say about the squad selection at Ajax, but I know you two kind of agree more with me than some Ajax fans out there that I don't think the squad's that poor. I think Heitinga could have coached that side to have made improvements, to have not lost all 4 of their Champions League games by big margins as well. I think a better head coach gets Ajax through games such as the AZ game at home. I think you can forgive a loss, but the way they've gone about this season, they've really struggled in the games that they've won. They haven't found any of them easy. And I think they've dropped way too many points in the Eredivisie. All meanwhile, not really bringing through many youth products. So for me, Heitinga had to go a few weeks ago. Should have gone at the last international break. Didn't. He stayed on. Ajax continued to struggle. Not surprised. Not surprised this happened at all.
I was supporting Heitinga, in the beginning, blaming the management maybe for not having very good players. But after the match against Galatasaray, I changed my mind because Ajax was defending like they were a third level team, I mean, I
And
know.
remember, the point of hiring Heitinga was to build upon what Farioli did before, and nothing's been built upon. It has been ripped to shreds, and he's tried something new, and it hasn't worked.
Yes, Galatasaray is a good team, but not to the point that make us sit back the entire match. It was obvious that Heitinga would have been happy if it ended 0-0.
Yeah.
But it did not, of course. Galatasaray destroyed us, unfortunately, in that match. So it is time for him to go. I believe I was wrong. Maybe he should have left earlier, but now what's the damage is done already. With the new coach, I think the team does have a chance in the Champions League. Their next opponents are not really that strong. If Ajax play good football, they can make 9 points out of 12, and then we will see. They might be in the top 24. About the league, about the Eredivisie, it's always full of surprises. The team now is like 11 points behind, but it was 9 points behind last season with PSV. They managed to make a comeback. So now it all depends on the new coach. Now, of course, Fred Krim is taking the job. I know they did lose against Utrecht, but that doesn't say anything really about him. He just took the job. Utrecht is always tough when they play at home as well. So we will see what coach. They considered Ten Hag. They considered also Frank de Boer, and I hope that will not be the case. They are also lately considered
Also on
Simeone,
my
I
list.
think. Yeah, only yesterday I heard his name. Is that a good option to bring another Italian coach? I don't know, but I think the team needs more than a good coach. I do believe the team needs some good players as well.
I think we got the wrong name there, didn't we, Abdul? I think we're both saying different managers. What have you heard, Mike? Have you heard anything else on the managerial position? And do you agree with sacking Heitinga?
Yeah, I think that his position was untenable. But I think it's a combination. I think it's poor coaching and really, really poor recruitment. I think some of the players they've bought are shockingly bad. I think the midfield's really weak. I think they've lost leaders. I think that who on that pitch would you say is a leader for Ajax, and who's going to go in there? Like Weghorst just throws himself about. He's acting like a bully more than a leader. He's just
his interviews after games are a bit embarrassing as well at the moment.
Yeah, he's losing his head. He's the whole showing his strength, after scoring against Utrecht, only for it to be like disallowed, and then like the coaches are like taking the mick out of him, and it's it's hard to watch at times. It's like Ajax are no offense to Feyenoord and PSV, who I love. Ajax are the name that everybody knows around the world that comes from the Netherlands. They're the ones everyone looks at to be like, oh, they must be the strongest one in the Netherlands. But for the past few years, it's gone downhill. Farioli did something last year. I think he worked a miracle at this point to get them where they got to in the end. I was reading something today that he said last year that the team was really weak and that conditionally they weren't strong enough and they needed to get stronger and add more muscle. And they didn't listen to him. And it's the same this year. I think that they're very, very weak side. I think that you can easily bully them. Galatasaray bullied them. But I think the recruitment has been poor. The choice for manager has been poor. And it's now just a combination of both of them to see Ajax suffer. They're also not, as you said, they're not promoting from within in the youth as well. They've got these young talents that aren't getting a chance, really. And in order to get Ajax back to where we're used to seeing them, they need to bring youth products through because they need to generate the money from them to then build a better squad because they don't have any money at the moment either, so they're struggling. So they need to bring in the players like Stur through, they need to bring Bonita in, they need to bring in, whether it's Konadu who they can sell on if he doesn't reach the heights. They've wasted money on Morrow, they've wasted money on Dolberg, they've wasted money on countless others that just aren't the level that Ajax needs to be. So, yeah, whoever comes in, they've got one hell of a task. If it's Ten Hag does he want to tarnish his reputation by coming back and being in charge of a subpar team when he was used to having the best squad? Simonis, who is the Dutch coach, who was just sacked by Wolfsburg, if he is the one that comes in, he did great at Go Ahead Eagles, but he's just been sacked by Wolfsburg. Couldn't do it there. Is he good enough to coach an Ajax side? They might have a lot of egos in there. Who knows? Did he just give it to Fred Grimm until the end of the season? It's a tough task. Who's going to make that decision? Because, Alex Kroos wants out as well. So they need to look for a new director of football. So, yeah, it's not good for Dutch football when Ajax are shambles. And right now, sadly, both on and off the pitch, they're in total shambles.
He's the Dutch coach who won the cup with Go Ahead Eagles, but I do believe he doesn't really have the experience to coach a team like Ajax. I said Italian. He is Dutch. Sorry, but yeah, he did win the cup with the Go Ahead Eagles, but it's not enough for him to coach Ajax, as I mentioned. I also read that they are seriously considering Overmars to bring Overmars back. Maybe he can manage the team and get it out of its crisis with the money problem they have right now.
But then how do you both feel? And by the way, Football-Oranje has never been a political pocket. We tend to stay away from these kinds of things. But how would you both feel about Overmars coming back into the club, given the reason why he left?
Well, he's the one who made Ajax. He's the one who helped Ajax to go all the way to the semi-final of the Champions League for the first time since the 90s. He's the one who made Ajax look very strong and dangerous in the Champions League and in Europe again. He brought Ajax to Europe again. What happened did happen, I mean, all people make mistakes. We cannot really judge him forever with this. This happened like what now, 6 years, 5 years ago? We should forget about that now and look for the future, really. I'm sure he did learn from his mistake. He said that he was very embarrassed of what he did. He felt ashamed. So we should give him a chance, really.
I think from a PR perspective, if Ajax do decide to bring back Overmars, financially it might make sense for where the club is at. It might make sense. But if you're one of those people that spoke up against him and he left and now he just walks back through the door as lauded as some sort of hero that's going to sort everything out, doesn't look good. So, he might be the best option, but whether that's the best route to go down is up for debate. But yeah, there's a lot going on at that club that needs sorted out. They're constant bringing back older players, thinking they're going to be somehow better 3-4 years on from when they're all asked that the club needs to stop. They need to start going after some of the best young talents around Europe and actually building a strong, young, good football team. Right now, they're a shockingly bad football team who has a striker up front who's just throwing himself around, trying to look for a red card every game. So, yeah, it's not good. And if I was an Ajax fan, I'd be very, very disappointed at the way it's gone from being one of the best sides in Europe only 5 years ago to be in this now is it's a disgrace. I mean, you think that Weghorst is the only Ajax player in the Netherlands squad is quite crazy.
But if you allow me to say, despite the difficult situation Ajax is in right now, they will not really face tough opponents in the Champions League. They have Benfica next match, and we all know how Benfica is struggling this season. They are also on the bottom of the table without any wins. And after Benfica, I don't remember the opponents, but they don't really have. Sorry.
Karabag.
Oh yeah, Karabag. Okay, it might not be an easy opponent, but Ajax with this squad can get some points from these teams. They need all the amount of money possible to help. So they might even go to the second round to be in the top 24. They even have a bigger chance than PSV because PSV next 4 matches are crazy. They're gonna play Liverpool, Bayern München. But Ajax don't really have big opponents. If they play their best football, they could actually make some money for the team and, of course, make it to the second round.
But if I was to say who in that Ajax squad is a Champions League quality player, like who would you say is Ajax's best player?
I do like Oscar Gluck, but I don't. it has to be the right conditions for him to play and do well. So if you think about someone that's actually consistent in every single game, then of course, yeah, you've got me. It's difficult to say you wouldn't be able to nail it, would you? Because you look at someone like Raul Morrow, who barely plays. Weghorst, he plays a lot, but that's more out of necessity at the moment. Experienced players like Klaassen aren't good enough. At centre back, Itakura and Zatalo have had some good games, some bad games. Yeah, absolutely right.
Probably, who's the only player who can create something for the team, you know? He's the only dangerous player. Other than that, I don't really think of any other players who are Champions League quality.
Yeah, and you look at the players that are, options off the bench. You got like Fitz, Jim, Bass, Regier, who started advancing. I guess, yeah, it's not like this isn't prime Ajax, and yeah, it's going to be tough
The
for him to get
Farioli
back.
got a tune out of this team. That it is possible to coach this team to be a team that can win.
Yeah, it did have a leader in Jordan. Like, as much as he didn't set the world on fire, it had somebody that was a steady pair of hands in that midfield, like Jordan Henderson, who's done really well at Brentford since he's gone there. You had, as much as we criticised him, you had a forward that did, trouble defences in Brian Brobby. So there were players there last season that, would say made the squad stronger. They need to get Dolberg back. They need to get him playing. They need to get him fit. They need to get, Berghaus back fit playing, because he is a big miss for them. When they can get a stronger side, hopefully January can come and they can start maybe getting a couple of additions. But yeah, we'll see who the new head coach is, and pray that they can work miracles for this squad.
I just thought we'd have one last little conversation about Dutch teams in Europe, guys, before we call it a day. If I were to say to you, one of the 6 teams in Europe this season that are Dutch, how do you think they'll get on with the remaining games that they have left in Europe? We are halfway through the 8 games, or in Arsenal's case, 3 games out of 6 in their league phases in Europe. So if I said to you, Ajax, for example, are they going to finish in the top 8 of the Champions League? No. Are they going to finish between 9th and 16th, 16th and 24th, and just about in the playoffs? Or are they going to be 24th to 36th and get knocked out of Europe? Abdul, you seemed optimistic about Ajax. Where are they going to finish?
Because of having a new coach, maybe a new spirit will be in the team. Hopefully, a good new spirit in the team. The opponents they will be facing are not really world class or Champions League quality. I know they are performing well, like Karabakh, for example. They drew with the Chelsea 2-2. But again, the team is not really a Champions League quality, although they play good. So Ajax could get some points out of these teams. I still hope they can be in the top 24, and make it to the second round. Go ahead, Eagles. I'm sure we are all surprised, especially that win against Aston Villa. It was unbelievable. But again, they lost against Salzburg. They are so difficult at home, so they can get some points. I think they only need one more win to make it to the second round, to be in the top 24. Feyenoord, unfortunately, is a big disappointment. I was expecting a lot from Feyenoord this season, but the team is not performing well in Europe. The match against Stuttgart was terrible, really. They did not create anything. Utrecht, I was expecting better from them. Maybe they were not lucky with that red card that came from nowhere, really. Yeah, and of course PSV. Okay, maybe they do have 5 points, but they will face Liverpool, Bayern Munich, Newcastle. All the opponents are really tough, unless they make a big surprise, like the surprise they pulled against Napoli. If they take advantage of the bad Liverpool nowadays, that could help them to be in the top 24. Yeah, AZ again is unfortunately a big failure in Europe. I don't think any of us expected this for AZ to lose 2 matches in the Conference League. The team now is in real danger.
I think we'll see PSV make the playoffs. I think they'll finish in that 16-24 bracket. I think Ajax get knocked out, maybe a couple of wins, but still get knocked out. For me, final to make the playoffs of the Europa League, but not in the way that I thought they would have done. I kind of saw them being like a high flyer in that competition, and they haven't been at all. So I think they'll just about make the playoffs. Utrecht won't have enough points now to get through. I think Go Ahead Eagles will make it to the playoffs, though. Again, though, in that sort of bottom half bracket of the playoffs. And then who have got left at RZ? I think they'll still be in the top half of those playoffs because they'll have more favourable games coming up. They'll get at least 2 wins out of 3. They'll be fine. And I think for RZ, they've lost the game they were supposed to lose against Palace. Other than that, it was a freak result against Larnaca. So I think we're now going to see a bit of a better performance. But it is worrying how none of these Dutch teams have been up in that top 8 and have blown us away. And we're probably going to lose at least 2 teams, aren't we, going to the playoffs? And in the playoffs, where anything's possible, depends who you draw. And for Dutch coefficient and for Dutch football in general, it's important that we have some teams that do well and go far.
We only had one good week with 4 wins, Yeah. First week we had like 4 losses. Yeah, and the previous week we only had 1 draw and 5 defeats. So yeah, we desperately need some points, especially the next season. The results of 2019 season will be eliminated where Feyenoord reached the Conference League final. So that will put us behind Portugal and Belgium unless we do well this season. Hopefully, this will be the case. Yeah.
What do you think, Mike?
I think Ajax get knocked out. I think that Benfica will beat them, and that'll be it. I think PSV will get knocked out. I think that they've done okay, but I think the next 4 games are brutal. I think that they're not going to win any of them. I think Feyenoord get through. I think the next one's against Celtic. They've got FCB to come as well, and they've got Sturm Graz at home. If they win those 3, they'll get through to the playoffs. I think Utrecht to go out. Go Ahead Eagles will scrape through in the playoffs, and AZ I don't think they'll lose any more of their games. I think they'll win them, get through. But yeah, they're AZ at the moment need to get some injured players back to have a shot, because they're some of their best players are now out for a while. And some of their new signings don't look up to much from what we saw against PSV. So if they can get those guys back, get Troy Parrott scoring again, I think they'll ease through. So I think that going into next year, you'll have Feyenoord, AZ, and Go Ahead Eagles in the playoffs.
Yeah, okay. That was a bit of a sound note to end on, but we're hopefully going to be qualified for a World Cup on Friday, and we'll be excited and just happy on life and football things, and we'll have a great live comment section after the game. So thank you for watching this far, if you have, in our preview against Poland. Anything else you two want to add before we go?
I just wish the best for Oranje. I really hope we win the match against Poland and finish the job from there.
Yeah, I'm a big supporter of youth football as well. So the under-21s have got 2 really important qualifiers coming up. They've not had a great start to qualification, and they're really struggling at the minute. And there's some new players in the squad coming through. There's a new striker, Devin Hayne, from Willem II. He's been called up to try and add some goals that they've been lacking. So yeah, the under-21s will be another team to watch in this period as well. Yeah, and I hope that 4 wins for the main side and the under-21s end the year with some hope, and hopefully it's the last international break that we don't see Keith Smith out of a Netherlands squad. And Koeman called him the little mini Pedri for the Netherlands, so we might be seeing him make his big breakthrough between now and the World Cup. And I'm here for it, because over in England, they're going mad for him at the minute, because he apparently impressed all the Crystal Palace fans, even though they easily beat AZ. They all were amazed by Keith Smith, and they all want to sign him. So it bodes well for what I've got from him to come.
Well said. Just one final plug then to press like on this video if you're watching on YouTube. Subscribe if you're new. Leave us a review if you're listening on Spotify. Thank you so much for the 5-star reviews you've had on Spotify since we started putting podcasts on there. And see you in the live show after the game against Poland. Bye, everybody.